All right, we are live. I'm going to wait a few seconds to make sure everything is working. All right. Make sure we're streaming here. There we go. All right, and everybody's here. And it looks like everything's running. So welcome to the Rabyd Atheist. I'm your host, Ed Rabyd, a former pastor turned atheist, now compassionate anti-theist. Welcome to my channel. And welcome to Rapid Fire. This is an open forum stream where I just answer questions or deal with comments or talk about what's on my mind. That's kind of what the whole point of Rapid Fire is. It's going to be open to deal with whatever that's going on. So there's that. But before we get into that, I want to see who's here. But first of all, I want to thank Katie for becoming a member of the channel. Welcome, citizen, and thank you for being a part of it. And let's see who else is here. Cranky Elder God is here. Let's see, Lisa showed up. Yep. It's a shame that my emojis don't show up on StreamYard. That would be so cool. I don't know why that is. I'll have to look into that. Paul, welcome. And Ron from Indian Lake. And then John as well. Udef, Atomic Punk, Jessica Bell, Anne Marie is here. All right. So a bunch of you here, folks. Yes. And then Katie. Thanks, Katie, for becoming a member again. I didn't know if you were actually here. StreamYard saved you joining the channel, so thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. Always nice when people invest in what I'm doing. I appreciate that so much. Speaking of which, there is a goal in chat. We're like 2 super chats away from doing a weekend stream, and like 12 away from that being a hat reveal. So we'll see what happens. So there's that. But welcome to all the community and welcome to everybody being here. I don't know. I haven't received any questions yet, so I'll just kind of talk about what's going on. I'm going to start adding videos again back into the mix. Probably I'm going to aim for like 2 or 3 a week, but I'm going to be dropping them in the morning, Eastern Standard Time, US, like 8 o'clock in the morning. So I'll do the video, and once I get a video done, it'll be the next morning that it'll drop. So as not to conflict with the streaming so much. So there's that. And I've got the Bible studies will probably kick you off probably Monday again next week. So, and they'll be back to video format. I tried to do the live thing, but I think it's just too much for me to do an extra live stream just for that. So hey, Wolf. Yeah, Paul is up late, as I recall, quite late actually, to be a part of it. Prevenient grace. Okay. Let me jog my memory real quick. Oh, yes. Okay. That prevenient grace is kind of a theological concept of the idea that, how can I put this? That'll explain it. It's the idea of it's the grace that God gives us that allows us to respond to God in the first place. Like, we're too sinful and corrupt to actually respond to God. So God gives us prevenient grace in order to even have the ability to respond to him in the first place. Arminians are big on this because, they want to hold the total depravity on the one hand, but they also want to hold the free will on the other. So prevenient grace becomes that thing that allows a person to exercise their free will towards God. Um, so it's a doctrine that allows you to hold on to total depravity of the human being. Like, we can't do anything right. We can't reach out to God. We can't do any of that stuff. At the same time, God gives us the grace to allow us to exercise our free will to accept Him, to accept His message of salvation. So it's one of those doctrines that is very much necessary for a lot of Christianity that holds to free will, for instance. With Calvinists, I'm not really sure they need it. In fact, I've had a Calvinist friend of mine once, when I was still in the faith, argue that prevenient grace is unnecessary in his system, because it's you're either saved by God's decree or not. So, so there's that. I don't know. There you go, Ronald. I mean, I encourage you. So, yeah, I saw that too. Um, I don't know. I saw some of that today. One of the YouTubers I follow did that. I'm not going to do that. I've done that in the past, and it always creates confusion. But it is hilarious that you'll have atheists not being mindful that it's April 1st, and they'll like, "What do you mean you're leaving and going? That's ridiculous." And it's like, dude, have you even thought about it? Um, you Well, you got to understand, with Arminians, there's grace everywhere, cranky elder God. Okay. You got the prevenient grace that allows you to accept Jesus in the first place. And then you have subsequent grace that is required to actually have faith in God. That's not prevenient grace. And then you have the grace that actually saves you. So, God is just being gracious all the way around with this idea. But whenever you have a conflict between two doctrines, you have to make up something. And prevenient grace allows you to hold on to mankind is totally depraved and there's nothing good in him. There's none righteous, no, not one, that sort of thing. And at the same time, hold on to the choice is yours. So yeah, I get it. It's confusing. But Arminianism has this idea of you can freely choose due to prevenient grace. I know some Methodists hold to that for sure. I had some Methodist friends when I was seminary. That's what they held to. So um, they're just, the idea of God's grace is uh, is all over the place when it comes to Christian theology. That's why I'm not allowed to joke anymore for a year. Oh, it's April 2nd here. Yeah, I suppose you guys have already hit the new date, haven't you? Hey, good to see you, Azo. How you doing, man? Once again, it's a shame my emojis don't appear on StreamYard. Makes me sad. I'm going to have to find out what that is. Happy Theism Day to you too, sir. I already thought about that. Yeah, it's just basically they hold the irresistible grace. So that's the I in tulip. Like, you can't reject salvation in Calvinism, whereas prevenient grace and all that and all subsequent grace allows you to reject God legit. So that's it. Was I ever in Royal Rangers? No. But I was very well aware of it because a couple of the churches I pastored had a Royal Rangers outfit in it. I was just never into it. Um, for those of you that don't know, Royal Rangers is the Assemblies of God version of the Boy Scouts, basically. Um, I can't remember. They had something for girls too, but I can't remember what it was. What the hell? Oh man, bothers me. I can't remember these things anymore. My memory's good when it works. So But yes, the Royal Rangers is kind of like a spiritualized, Christianized, hyper Christianized version of the Boy Scouts, basically. And on the one hand, it teaches some good life skills. On the other hand, there's a lot of Christian nonsense with it. So, um, but yeah, it was, your royalty. Gosh, the girls had something too. And I can't remember what it is. But they have a similar thing, similar to Girl Scouts. Only the whole idea behind Royal Rangers and the girls one was um, is the idea was to, I mean, if you want to talk about a training tool such as scouting, scouting's a great training tool, but then you combine it with the Christian nonsense of it, and so like a Royal Ranger program would have like badges too, but you could earn badges for scripture memorization, for scripture study, for devotions. Like if you kept a journal of your devotions for like 6 months, that was worth a badge. There was a lot of added spiritual discipline type stuff to it. So, but yeah, I was very well aware of Royal Rangers as a pastor. I just never participated myself. When I was a kid, it was because I would have been, uh, let's put it this way, the children I was with in Sunday school when I was a kid, there were two boys, me and another guy, and like six girls. So it was like there just wasn't enough guys, and there wasn't enough people interested in it. There was no male leadership either, thankfully. So that kind of worked out. Hey, Alex, good to see you. Hey, Brent. Thank you. Thank you so much. But yes, there is a God day. Yes. Uh, as was said, happy theism, theist day. So there we go. Uh, uh, no, uh, Arminians believe you can resist the grace of God regardless of what type it is. I know I used to be one. I used to argue with Calvinists about this all the time. But yes, Arminian prevenient grace is something you can reject. There's no irresistible grace in Arminianism. That's kind of what Arminian seeks to do is get rid of the Calvinist nonsense of you can't resist the grace of God, and there's no. It tries to preserve God's justice in the sense that if you reject God, then it's your fault, and that's why you went to hell. Okay, so whereas Calvinism is like, okay, God creates people just to go to hell. Okay, and that doesn't seem like a very just God, so we play the game of all this other stuff, and so Calvinists just they dive hard into hard determinism, no matter what brand they are. So, but Arminianism, I I don't know. I met some soft determinists in Arminianism, but I never met like a hard determinist. So, but oh yeah, I know. But I thought it was named something special. Like they used to be named the Stars or something. I can't remember. That's the name that comes to mind. But yeah, they had a very similar. Yeah, I think it was the Stars because they would have the Honor Star program where if a girl reached like 12 and she had done all the stuff, she would become an honor star and graduate. And the same was true with Royal Rangers because you got to a certain point and they would, basically kick you out, so to speak. So get too old. Um, but yeah, the focus was definitely on developing gods into godly women. But I know they had a special name. At least they did when I was in it in the assembly. So yeah, missionary girls clubs. Oh, okay. So they must have changed it. They used to be like the Stars or something, and they must have got rid of that idea. Well, but yeah, I know that like when it comes to indoctrination programs, it's one of the sneakiest because it teaches other things. Like if you join the Royal Rangers, you'll learn how to camp, you'll learn how to start fires, you'll learn how to, it's very Boy Scouts like, but they'll also throw all the Bible teaching and the Assemblies of God, Pentecostal stuff in there too. So, but yeah. Sounds like kidnapping. Oh my goodness. Yeah, but I don't know. As somebody who did Christian education, the two programs that weren't part of my Christian education program when I was a Christian education pastor were Royal Rangers and the girls' side of it. That was the only two things we were talking about embracing those when I was near my end of my tenure there of a couple of years, but we never actually did it. So it's one of the things I know exists, but I never was a part of it. And yeah, the Boy Scouts had that problem. The Girl Scouts had that problem. Guess what? Christian versions of those also have the same problem. Of getting boys and girls alone with adults that aren't their parents. Okay, is kind of a it was kind of the way it is. So I had the same problems. We had the same scandals inside the Royal Rangers, for instance. So for the same reasons. So church camps. If you want a culty church camp, go to an Assemblies of God youth camp. Holy shit. I talk about April Fool's Day. Oh my God. I could do jokes on that forever. But yeah, it's when you get a bunch of teenagers together, and the real problem, the constant policing at it, like a youth camp, is you got all these people chaperoning the boys and girls whenever they're together. And the fact of the matter is, no matter how much they policed it, I mean, I remember coming into my cabin. Oh, this is probably when I was 15 or 16. And yeah, there was one of the guys I was bunking with was doing his girlfriend. So, it's not, you know, parents send their kids to this stuff thinking it has a religious impact, and it's just really an excuse to get together and do other things. So I haven't got to it yet, Brent. I do apologize for that, but unfortunately, I've had some family stuff come up too. So I've been, thankfully I don't have any birthdays today, but it's like the first time in a month. But yes, I think I can see where it's going though. And you're right. It's probably going to be dark. I'm already anticipating it. Yes. So, no, although it's been funny, Michael, because there's been like several atheists that have done the April Fool's joke on people. Uh, yeah, I've realized that Christianity is true, and I've become a Christian. So converted to a non-smoker. Yeah, I can kind of see that coming. The, I've been thinking about this a lot because one of the most ridiculous doctrines I think in any religion is anything afterlife, because you have to be engaged in full on speculation about A, is there an afterlife or not? And B, what is it? And you can make the fact that people believe anything that gets them hope is definitely built into the afterlife. But, you know, can we really know that until we're dead? Probably not. My basic belief is I cease to exist, and I've gotten much more comfortable with that idea over the last 5 years. So, but yeah, yeah, Ronald, I wonder about that too because there's a lot of psychological manipulation that happens at Christian camps. Okay, because there's a lot of enthusiasm. There's a lot of emotionalism. I mean, I'm not surprised that teenagers, you know, they gin them up emotionally about God, and then they're still ginned up emotionally, and they're feeling good, and they got the endorphins running, and then they end up putting their arm around the waist of their girlfriend and pulling them a little closer than they normally would. And the next thing you know, she's in an euphoric state. And the next thing you know, they're sneaking off into the woods. So, yeah, I'm starting Muslim Latter-day Witnessing. That's what I'm doing. I want, because you're dealing with two religions there that allow polygamy. And so that's what I'm going with. I'm sure I'll get a lot of male converts and not too many female. So you can be an Islamic Latter-day Saint. There we go. You starting a new job that's kind of converting. Yeah, that can be that way too. So saving your lungs. Okay. Yeah. Oh my goodness. But yes, it's it's April Fool's Day, so everybody's having a good time, I guess. But I've got Earl. Me and Earl are just giggling right now because I've got her going on these emojis with the rabbit eating different vegetables representing different religions, and it's just hilarious. And yesterday she was talking about the Mormon one. I'm like, well, you gotta find some way to have one daddy onion because she wants to use onions, and a couple of wife onions. Can't can't pass that up, and you got to have all the pearl onions running around as kids. So, and she's rolling with this, and I've never, I said it before, I'll say it again. Never been so excited to watch, get artwork of rabbits eating different vegetables in my life. So, but yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, the thing about youth camp, okay, children's camp is already dangerous enough because of the adults. But when you start adding youth camp, the one thing I noticed about youth camp was you add the element of the fact that teenagers have a lot of hormones, and then you gin up the emotional aspects of faith, and then you wonder why they're sneaking off into the woods. Okay. So I don't know. See, the idea of an immortal soul is kind of the basis for almost all afterlife stuff. I don't get it either, because I guess if you're an ancient person and you don't have the knowledge of neurology and psychology that we have, I guess I can get it. That you kind of come up with some explanation that there's a part of us that isn't physical, and then it doesn't take much to, doesn't take much, to go from there and zip along and deal with it. So I guess I can see where afterlife believes. I mean, because there's an incredible desire when somebody dies to have some way to have them pass through that so you'll see them again. I think that's a little reason why a lot of people hold on to faith is the afterlife stuff. So it's that. So, yeah, me too. Well, thank you so much, Star Song. Trump voters say that Jesus is too woke to be relevant to Christianity today. I fail to see how they can call themselves Christian and reject Christ, speaking as an atheist. Yeah, I've been a little bit mystified by that too. But I'll give you a further comment. 20 years ago, a candidate like Trump would have never gotten off the ground with a Christian right, because they had way higher standards of what they expected out of a president. I remember some candidates being rejected because they've been divorced. Trump's been divorced, 3 times, and and he lies, and it's demonstrably, and there's a whole bunch of stuff. If you do take the teachings of some of the teachings of Jesus are definitely very compassion oriented, very do good to your neighbors kind of thing, and that just doesn't sit well with the right a lot. So, and they have their reasons, but so there's that. Okay. All right, I saw this coming. Oh my gosh, you guys, I love you. But getting back to Star Song's comment, and thank you very much. Oh, by the way, that puts us in the realm. We will have a weekend stream, so you can now know that that's coming. I even have a video I want to react to already, so I'll probably put that out tomorrow, so you'll know what that is. But yeah, and when it is, I'm going to tell you, my weekend streams will be flexible. It'll be Friday or Saturday, depending on what's going on in my life. I'm hoping to start dating again, so. If I have a date Friday night, it'll be Saturday. If I have one Saturday, it'll be Friday. So the weekend streams will go. Still need 10 more super chats to make that stream a hat reveal. So we'll see that. We got today and tomorrow, and that's, during that stream, if we hit that mark, it'll be a hat reveal. So we'll see what happens. There's that. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Yeah, it really is kind of a consciousness thing. Like, people look at the parts of you that are not physical, like your personality, the way you do things, parts of your character, and they want to think that that's separate. I guess I don't look at human beings that way. We're all of those things mashed together, which is what makes us complicated. So, so yes, the weekend stream will happen. I have a video reaction just as a kind of teaser. It's a pastor, and he's asking for money. And probably some of you may know who it is, but I'm not gonna reveal that until we get there. But I want to go over the doctrine behind all of that with that stream. So. Yes, religion is ever changing. It's the new Trump Christianity. You don't have to be moral. You don't. I mean, well, gosh, you didn't have to be those things before. So, um, so we'll see. But yeah, uh, it's a different kind of religion. It's a different kind of Christianity, because in the 90s, I remember so many candidates for president on the Republican side just being rejected because of they didn't line up with Christian ethics and dogma. And so they were set aside. We're not going to run them. So, but now, it's like it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter anymore. Well, we'll see. We'll see, Bren. I'll post it tomorrow, and you'll know what the video is tomorrow. But so, yeah, that could be. I mean, although some might argue, like the Good Samaritan would argue against that whoever shows compassion, because I think Jesus says that it's whoever showed, or the disciples do, and then Jesus says you're correct. So the neighbor is whoever shows compassion. So, but I would also argue that Jesus says some very contradictory shit to that, like hate your family, hate this, hate that. So, valid questions. Valid questions. I don't know. Trump is kind of starting where he left off, which means the Republicans are already antsy about supporting him, but they don't dare say anything because he's on this. Anybody who speaks against him gets his ire. So it's like, if you're trying to stay out of the news, you just kind of silently resist. So, but I know for a fact that some of my Republican friends and some of my friends that used to vote Democrat are regretting their decision. So, yeah, if the election was held today after all this stuff had been revealed, I think he would have lost. So, but we'll see. I hated asking for money. I hate asking for money on the channel too, but it's part of, it's the game. I'm trying to hate the game and not the player. But I had special projects and building projects like any other pastor does. My last church was a Gothic 4-story structure made out of Michigan pine. So it constantly needed maintenance. So yeah, I had to ask for money for that. But I was never into like every week begging for money. I passed the offering plate, and there was an expectation, I guess. And in my Assembly of God days, I let deacons handle that. I like the treasurer, you talk to people about the money because that's your concern. Okay. And I'd let the treasurer make that move. And I had a tendency to stick to the spiritual stuff and stay away from that. He doesn't manage money well. It's his one lack of. it's kind of why Elon Musk doesn't have any human empathy. Same reason. I don't think he believes in God in truth, but he's happy to have the religious rights vote. So I don't think he's a Christian either. I think he's Trump. So he can't talk to her anymore. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, you're praying to yourself. I think self-talk is valuable sometimes, but yeah, I get it. You're Canadian. Yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of been bad on families. Trump claims to be for family values, but he's kind of ripping families apart just by people supporting him or not. So, yeah, he's a very polarizing figure. You're either for him or against him. I don't know too many people that are neutral about Trump. So, when that happens, see, this is the problem. Trump's already booby trapped himself because anybody who knows economics knows what's going to happen. Yeah, foreign goods are going to go up, but then domestic manufacturers are going to realize, hey, we can charge a little more, and inflation is going to happen. When his main promise that got him elected basically is gas prices are going to come down and food prices and all the rest of it's going to come down doesn't materialize because of the tariffs, yeah, then all we have to do is wait. Okay, he'll lose support in Congress from his own party at that point. So a lot of them are already antsy about it anyway. So we'll see. Yeah, I hate the cat. I don't hate money. I always feel odd about asking for it. I like to be as self-reliant as possible, and yeah, because I don't trust anything. Yeah, let's wish on a star. Yeah, probably true. Probably true. I'm beginning to think that people are starting to see the star song. I think even I've talked to some of my friends who are right leaning and they're having trouble with him this time because he's so over the top this time. Like he didn't even talk about the Greenland thing before being elected, or Joe Rogan said it best. What the hell did Canada do to us? Why are we mad at their shit? They didn't do anything. It's like we're all of a sudden mad at all these countries for what? I don't get it, and it just seems to have come out of the blue because he didn't really campaign on that. And I think if he had, he known he would have been opposed. So I don't know, but hey, thank you again. Appreciate it. Yes. Well, most old conservatives are against tariffs because they recognize one thing about them: they're a tax that causes inflation. Any decent economist will tell you that lowering tariffs is better for the economy than raising them, and that's the problem Trump's going to run into. He has this nostalgic view about the past, and he doesn't realize that when the United States had high tariffs, it probably is what led to the Great Depression, because we had so much domestic production but no place to sell it because nobody was buying our shit because the tariffs were too high. Okay. When you look at the Depression, there's literally fields of tractors for farming sitting in manufacturing yards that have been manufactured, but nobody had any place to sell them. So, there's all kinds of stories like that from right before the Depression. So, yeah. It's possible. I mean, all four of them. I don't know. I mean, I think the reason why nobody focuses on the wives of Trump is none of them are really great either. It's possible. I hope you're right, Ronald. I really do. I hope this is the beginning of the end. Um, you know, uh, because I think the problem is they're going to demonstrate why Voltaire was so popular among the founding fathers about religious freedom. I mean, gave us the First Amendment to protect Christianity from itself. Okay, because whenever you give one branch of Christianity power, they always use it against the others and abuse that power. Well, that's why they followed Voltaire's ideas of free religion. Just let everybody have the religion they want, and none of these Christians seem to realize that that's what it is. Like they don't understand that yes, there was a lot of religious people in the United States at the time the Constitution was founded, but they all agreed that religious freedom was the way to go. Okay, that way nobody had power over the others. But now you have Christianity as a whole trying to have power over everybody, and because they have control of everything, the smaller factions within republicanism are fighting against each other. They feel it free to do that. So we'll see it. I agree. I think the problem is I think people are starting to recognize that. I'm People ask me why I'm so calm. I kind of trust the system that was set in place initially. The only thing that worries me is if, like, see, the thing about it is the character of the Supreme Court is what's really at issue to me, because are they going to uphold the Constitution or be Trump stoolies is the question. And it's kind of been a mixed bag so far. But a lot of these executive orders are eventually going to get in front of them. And the problem with executive orders is they're not like decrees from a king. You're supposed to connect them to an existing law passed by Congress. And Trump hasn't done that. So, um, yeah, we've switched from oil to rare minerals. I actually have Canadian lineage too. I have my great grandmother was a Canadian and moved to Michigan when she got married to one of my great grandfather. So, but yeah, the only Canadian I never got along with was one border guard. One time when I crossed the border, he got pissed at me for something that I don't even know what I did, and so he had my car searched. And like the guys over that searched my car weren't the same person, and they're like, "Yeah, he's kind of grumpy today. I don't know what his problem is." So, uh, uh, yeah, tariffs have been traditionally from the left because to protect union workers working in steel mills and stuff like that. Um, but you're right, prices spike immediately, and domestic production struggles to keep up, because if we can't get it from a foreign land, we're going to have to manufacture itself. But some of the things we don't manufacture anymore, like electronics manufacturing in the United States, is not what it used to be. So, it's going to take 2 or 3 years for the domestic side to figure it out. And in the meantime, all of that stuff's going to be more expensive. And so, yeah, it's going to cause inflation. The very thing Trump said he was going to try to get control of. So we'll see. Um, I'm a snow Mexican. Okay, I got to put this up. Yes. I have heard that term before, but I've never heard it used by myself. But yes. Oh, yeah. I mean, I live in Michigan, so there's a lot of Canadian Michigander love stories. So yeah, there's all kinds of. But this is probably the 1800s when that happened, and for some reason, I think it was my great grandfather, great great grandfather was in Canada, and he met this girl somewhere near Toronto, one of the small towns near Toronto, and they fell in love, and he brought her back to the farm in Michigan, and the rest is history. So, that's kind of the way it worked. So, but yes, a bunch. If you take the wars after the Reformation added into that, that's a lot. Like Europe, the whole thing about religious freedom in the United States is that Voltaire, great mind, was a deist at the end of his life. So he still believed in God at the end of his life, but he was done with organized religion, I think, particularly the Catholic Church. But if you take that time period, you had all these different Protestant groups not only fighting with the Catholic troops, but with each other. And he goes to England and sees the more religious, tolerant views there. Like they have the Anglican Church, but everybody else is being accepted, and says, why don't we do it this way? Okay. But so probably. Yeah, if they do it. I've heard the elimination of the income tax how many times, Ronald? I don't know how old you are, but I'm 56, and I've heard that from Republicans so many times. But then they take a look at the money they're making, and maybe we won't eliminate them. We'll just drop them down or reduce the rates or whatever. So she's an illegal immigrant. I didn't know that. I actually have some admiration for her. It's not often that somebody who does softcore porn can become first lady. Although I'm fairly certain there are some other first ladies that had questionable pasts. so yeah, I know it's the irony, but there's been a lot of ironies with men that desire power before. So. Yeah, you can't buy enough yachts to offset. The luxury taxes won't offset the loss in income from the income. The income tax makes a shit ton of money off the middle class. So I don't know if you're going to be able to make up for the lost income there with just tariffs and that sort of thing. There's a reason why we left tariffs and luxury taxes. I'm just put it that way. I think the reason was we found we can make more money with the income tax. And tariffs have their own problems. So yes. Stacy, I don't know what you do with Muslims. Some of the things that Muslims believe are true is it gives me headaches. Christians are bad enough, but Islamic apologists and Islamic believers, it's just like, where the hell are you from? Where the hell are you from? I don't know what planet you're from. Yeah, eggs are still high. Uh, am I concerned? Let's say there wasn't a Project 2025. Do you think the Christians would be doing anything different? I mean, the problem with Project 20 is we only focus on it. There's plenty of other Christians outside of Project 2025 that are doing Project 2025 stuff. Okay, maybe they're more organized, but now all Christians that are fundamentally bent, regardless of whether they're part of Project 2025 or this direction, this is an ideological conflict on a much broader front than Project 2025. We're talking about Christianity, fundamentalist Christianity, pushing to have its way across the entire country. And that takes more than Project 2025. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a concern. And yes, they're connected with it. But my concern has always been the broad front of Christianity and religion in this country, because it's not just Christians that want theocracy. Okay, it's Muslims, it's other religions too. So I don't know. it, I get it. See you later, Grumpy Librarian. I appreciate you stopping by. Yeah, that's the design. They're supposed to be protective, but they never seem to work. Um, the way to get businesses going is have more markets for them to sell their shit. Okay. And if you make tariffs on people's incoming goods, they make tariffs on your incoming goods, and then that's less places to sell your stuff. I've never liked tariffs. Ever since I studied economics, it's gotten worse. So I would rather, if Trump had sat down and said, hey, can we figure out a way to lower tariffs across the board? I'd be all for that, because I would have created so many markets for so much goods, and you might have actually seen some deflation, but that's not going to happen now. So $10 for a dozen. That's why my daughter like raises chickens. Okay, she gets her own, and she has to. I'm like, you're eventually going to have a security system for the chickens. So, so yeah. See, atomic pump's right there. But as the price of eggs goes up, you're going to have to like protect from more than woodland creatures killing your chickens. There's going to be people of the two-legged variety trying to steal them. So, so I don't know. May have to argue about that. I don't believe that income would ever be equal. It's just not. It's not designed that. So, you don't consider civil war a viable option? Okay, me either. I really hope it's not a viable option, but there we go. Hey, Earl. Yeah, she's had a group of chickens at her house now for oh gosh, probably 3 years now, and she's kind of down right now. She's down to like three because chickens only last like a couple years, and so where they're good layers, and then they're better as some other form of food. But when she had them going, she was like producing 30, 40 eggs a day, and she was giving them, she was selling them. So, but yes, it's and she was free ranging them to a point because they have a fence around part of their yard and woods. And so you didn't see a lot of bugs on her property because the chickens were eating them all. So it has a multitude of effects, but yeah, she decided to raise chickens. Oh, good luck to you, because it's not easy. So, so there's that. Yeah, there you go. See, I'm just telling you, Atomic Punk, as the price of eggs goes up, you're gonna have to like think security. Okay, it's definitely gonna have to think security. You have little city chickens, yeah. I've seen people with coops in the city. Yeah, so yeah. Hey, Henrietta, you have a pet chicken? Yeah, see, my grandkids love the chickens when they're roaming around because they'll just, feed them and talk to them, and so there's that. All right, smart move. Yeah, there you go. And you're from the South, so yeah, that I don't know. There's definitely honor, I guess, among people that are self-sufficient, that they don't mess with other people's self-sufficiency, especially if you like build relationships. Like if you're going to give the eggs to family and friends, that kind of builds the relationship, so then they start looking out for you too. So yeah, I can see that, Colorado biker, because tourism is affected by tariffs too, because if you piss off people, they don't want to come to your country. And I think the United States right now, despite its many, many tourist attractions, you're now relying on domestic tourism instead of outside tourism. And it's going to kill the tourist industry big time. Because not, if inflation strikes, then I certainly as hell am not going to be able to afford a vacation. I'm going to be lucky. I'm kind of glad that I've got like 10 payments left on my car right now. And then I'm just going to keep maintaining it because I sure as hell won't be able to afford a new one or even a newer used one. So it's like, nope, thanks. Going to keep this one running until somebody's out of office. So, providing security for chicken is the best move now. I think so. I think so. I honestly, I don't know what the price of eggs is going to be, but I think if somebody can come up with a cheap security system for chickens to protect against the two-legged variety of thief, I think you might be onto that. Yeah, we got boycotts to the trips to the United States. This is what I'm talking about. None of this is good for the economy. So, oh, look at you naming all your chickens. Oh, man. Yeah. I know they're not drinking U.S. alcohol, which is kind of a shame because I like Canadian alcohol. So, yeah, it's kind of, I live here, so I guess I'm used to it. And I'm one of those people that takes a very open view on freedom. You know, like I have no problem breaking an unjust law if I consider it unjust. So, you know, I come from a long line. My family's kind of weird. On the one side of the family, my dad's side, you have a lot of, to be frank, womanizers slash bootleggers slash name the crime, and we've probably done it. And on the other side, you have hymn writers and devout Christians and all that stuff, and they kind of coalesced into me. So, and guess which side wins? So to me, personal freedom is more important than anything. And so I don't, I plan on not complying with a lot of this stuff if I can. Guns being pointed at my face by the government kind of is nice coercion because I kind of like to live a little longer. But yeah, me too. I was born in Grand Rapids, so at Blodgett, so which that hospital building no longer exists. It got tore down to make way for the new one. So yeah. See, I want to take a trip to Europe, though. It's funny because Americans don't have that. Americans are like, I want to get out of here for a while. So all of you in foreign lands might see a boost in American tourists. Be kind to them. They're trying to get away from whatever this is, this chaos that exists. So, yeah. See, I'm with you, and I don't know. I just there are days that I just want to find a patch of woods and build a cabin and disappear. There are days. It's there. So oh, you had 4 chick. Okay, boy, crispy fried and broiled. Okay, fair enough. The egg was delicious. Outstanding. All right. Okay. Yeah. All right. I'm the product of West Michigan, so Grand Rapids and North. So I live about an hour north of Grand Rapids. So the little town of Reed City. It couldn't be more Midwestern small town if it tried. So I don't know. Um, yeah, I wonder about that sometimes because when I look who's supporting the boomers aren't as in love with Trump as they used to be since he went after Social Security, but um, yeah, I guess I could see some of that. Like when you combine it with the religious elements of crazy and ignorant, like if you look at the people that are in religion that hobnob with Trump, there's some of the weirdest pastors and evangelists you'll ever see. Okay, like they are off the wall weird. Okay, and if you combine that with craziness and ignorance, I mean, the idea that just shaking things up is a good thing. I don't know. Maybe we did learn something that's not necessarily great, but all right. Yeah, I like ducks. I like ducks more than chickens, actually. So, although they can be meaner. Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, if I ever make it to Germany, I'll let you know. Um, I don't know. The thing with travel and me is I want to do it with somebody to share it with. That's kind of why I'm trying the dating thing again because I absolutely loved my time in Budapest. What a great city. I'll give Europeans one thing: they know how to do cities. Okay, probably because they've been doing it longer than Americans, and Americans are too in love with their cars to think beyond highways. So, but I loved Budapest. I loved all of that stuff. I loved Romania. I was in Oradea, Romania. My greatest experience in Europe so far is we were in a van crossing Transylvania, and in the 2-hour trip we crossed Transylvania, I read Bram Stoker's Dracula. It's one of my finer travel moments ever. that I was riding a van in the very country that part of the book was set. So it was one of those great moments. I have the same dream of going to London and reading it again with the other part of the setting so I can, feel the ambiance. So, but it's one of my best moments. I would love to travel again and love to go to Europe again, but right now my bank account, you say, hey, I want to travel. My bank account says, what, upstairs? Um, so, yeah, so there's that. Thank you. Thank you, Earl. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's been, I'm trying to keep a good vibe, up level thing. I always expect the wrong thing for my streams. Like this is Rapid Fire, where it's an open forum. We're supposed to be nicer to the theists, and guess who doesn't show up? Go to deconversion hangout, and we're keeping the theists out, and guess where they show up? So I don't know. This streaming thing is just it amuses the hell out of me now, Earl. It just amuses it. But yeah, I really do wish I could travel again. Seems like it'd be a really nice to do so if I had the resources. I would absolutely. Um, Always happy to let people rant. We get it, man. And thanks for achieving the goal for the day. But we're also well on our way to having a hat reveal on the weekend stream, which will now happen for sure. But yeah, thank you, Ronald. You're welcome to come and vent anytime. I I don't know. I love ducks. Okay, I guess that's why the Donald ducking it accusation of me was kind of amusing to me. So I love Donald Duck, still do. He's the only Disney character that I find to be truly, genuinely, mostly human. so, so there's that. Um, oh, but yeah, I don't know what's going to happen, but I strongly suspect for those of you who are my European and Australian followers, you might get some visitors from the United States. Treat them well. Um, they're trying to get away. They're trying to get away. So, and if they can, so I don't know. Yeah. Thanks, Cranky. How's the elder god business these days anyway? I haven't really had a chance to talk to you this stream that much, but how's the elder god business working out? So we got to be careful about the. We got to, Earl. We have too many rabbits around here. And Anne's going to do it anyway. Oh my goodness. Oh. But it is rabbit season. Oh, it's the best thing I ever did. Gives me more joy than I care to think about. Have you seen the state of worshipers these days? Yeah, they kind of suck, I imagine. Oh, even for elder gods. The worshipers for elder gods even suck. Oh my goodness. That's getting bad. Oh my goodness. But yeah, I don't know. Elmer season. It's Elmer season. Poor Elmer Fudd. You know, his ever since Warner Brothers made the decision not to have him have a gun in his hands anymore, it's just like not the same. You know, it's what role does he have anymore? I just don't understand the point at this point. So yeah, I think you're going to find, Atomic, that there are a lot of self-sufficiency people. In my old channel, I ran into many. There's a lot of people trying to be as self-sufficient as possible, from food to energy to water, because then they have to, get rid of all that stuff. So, and I met one lady on my other channel that she's all gung ho about being as self-sufficient as possible without relying on anything outside. And she still has an economic thing where she sells stuff that she makes, but I think you're going to find a lot of self-sufficiency people out there that'll give you advice. Yeah, Yosemite Sam getting rid of his guns. I'm like, what the hell? It's just ridiculous. Yes. Yes, the Barbara Seville is one of my favorites too. I also like the opera one. It's where I learned opera. You know, this is an opera. What are you expecting? A happy ending? Yeah, that was a great one. I thought it was, the whole spirit magic helmet thing. Oh, Brad. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I don't know. The more I look at theists when they come here, it's like, why are you here? The last guy that came yesterday, I'm like, why the hell are you here? Yeah. I don't know. I don't get it. Yes, I've heard that. My daughter does that. So yeah, you know what? Do your part. If I ever get out of this apartment, that's kind of where I'm headed, to find a place where low maintenance house with plenty of opportunities to do things myself. But I'm a horrible gardener. The plant part would kill me because I kill plants. So it's kind of why I want a partner that doesn't kill plants. That maybe is good. I'll do I'll tote the wheelbarrow. I'll do all that other stuff for somebody that can garden. So we have a lot of rabbits around here, Earl. They keep multiplying too. You're multiplying them. The Mormon, onions are going to multiply them. Yeah, not really. That's true. Unless you make it out of like stuff that's forever. And that's usually expensive. So okay, valid point. Oh my goodness. Oh. I think things like Yeah, I wish I could say that you're probably wrong, but I don't think I can. Um, I just, as a former Christian, when I was a Christian, I never got the whole, like, for a large part of my Christian ministry, the internet was a thing, and there was all kinds of forums and trolls were in abundance back then too. But I never got the point, of it. Maybe it's just my personality. It's like, what am I doing? Why would I go to, like, back then? Why would I go to an atheist channel and troll them? You know, wouldn't I try to think of ways to win them to Jesus instead? But not trolls and not, pre-suppers. It's like, how many people can I piss off today? And that's my badge of glory. I don't understand that mentality, I guess. So I just don't get it. Single, white, divorced, childless, elder, millennial. I have a houseplant addiction and no shame. There you go. Outstanding. But I'm, or I'm all down, like, I would definitely do all the grunt work for somebody who can actually garden. I'm just saying. Ooh. Yeah, rejoicing in being persecuted. Oh, outstanding question. Okay, I see. Here's the real problem. Because I used to be a Christian education pastor and a pastor, I realize what the indoctrination techniques are, which is, if you're going to teach critical thinking, you have to teach in such a way as you stay away from indoctrination techniques. So I think that would be the first thing. If you know what religions and cults use to indoctrinate, you don't want to do that. So how do you teach a kid to think for themselves? Well, you're going to have to allow them to come to conclusions that necessarily you wouldn't come to. Um, you can't be teaching to drive them to a conclusion. You have to teach them in such a way that they look at a situation and try to think critically about what the solution is. So I almost think you'd have to give them, like, problem solving scenarios where you would have multiple possible good answers, um, and how to look at mythology as mythology, distinguishing what realities are what. Okay, what is this? How to categorize things properly. Um, so I don't know. I don't know. I it's something that I have wrestled with, John, of how to teach kids to think critically without indoctrinating them. You know, how to stay away from that. That's something that's very much on my mind every time I turn on my live streams and stuff like that. Is like, I want to make sure everybody understands that we're here to think critically, not necessarily drive people to a certain conclusion. And I guess I would want that for the kids. This is something that I think the secular community needs to sit down, and people that know something about education and how to educate, and people like me who know about indoctrination a little bit more formally. I think you could also, how to stay away from that while at the same time teaching kids critical thinking skills and skeptical skills, which will do them far more good. Um, but yeah, it's a question that I wrestle with, not just on an intellectual level. It's an emotional question to me too, because I looked back at my days, because all my kids grew up in the church, and I was one of their chief indoctrinators, and two of them now believe for sure, and I know it's because of what I did. Okay, in large part. So it's like, how would I have raised my kids differently if I had been a secular person? Is a question that clouds my emotions from time to time. So that's why I'm in therapy, by the way. One of the many reasons, thanks to my religion, that I'm in therapy. So, yeah, definitely being self sufficient makes your need for money drop. So you just have to be content with stuff not being a certain way. Yeah, it's a good start, but trying to figure out where the boundary is on that is a little bit more tricky than I originally thought. So, and it took you a very long. It takes a lot of people a long time to read the religion. So, why questions? Why do you think that? Why did you come to that conclusion? And then not judge the conclusion necessarily, but also talk about the alternatives that could have been done. Um, the idea of teaching critical thinking is to get them to wrestle with a problem, and then once they come up with a conclusion, not necessarily judge that conclusion as right or wrong, but is there some way to look at it from a different angle? Learning to see things from other people's perspective, learning how to collaborate with other people so you see different perspectives as well. There's a lot of things that could go into that. Could be. Or they're ahead in some others. I always do that, but yeah, I would definitely look at trying to figure out how to think, how to problem solving is a big part of learning how to critical think. So creating hypothetical problems that the kids have to run through, and you can do that at all levels, by the way. So there's that. So thank you. Thanks for the question though. It's one that, John, that I wrestle with, because how do, looking back at it, how do I avoid, how can I teach somebody to avoid indoctrinating their child? That's a tough one, because I think you can indoctrinate a kid in anything from, from the extreme of the child soldier, for instance, that's been raised to hate everybody and kill everybody, to, the light indoctrination of politics and social views and things like that. I'd rather have a child come to their own conclusions about some of those things, not the child soldier thing, but the rest of it, than force a conclusion on them. I think that's something that we need to think about. And I've I've thought about this one a lot, to be honest. Okay, but there's that. But yeah, I wish I had a better answer, but I'm still thinking about this one too. Okay, how do I? It might make a good topic for a video sometime of some of my ideas about how that would work. So there's that. Um, see, yeah, I still love mythology. It's great stories. Thanks, Ronald. And I think the benefit of a share that was Dean Kruger. I'm trying. I think I need like 50 memberships so that we can have like 12 emojis, and then that'll open up some freedom for the emojis. So, but yeah, thanks for stopping by, Colorado. Thanks, I appreciate you. Um, Yeah, there's also that. Like, there might be a best answer, but there's still good answers that aren't the best. Okay, you could, and how do we define what the best answer is too? So it's getting kids away from black and white thinking, which they're inevitably going to be a part of when they're younger. But as they get older and they get out of that, encouraging that getting out of the black and white false dichotomy style thinking, I think is a good first move. It's definitely one of the things that there's life ain't always so simple, even within science. Like you can have a problem that you're trying to solve scientifically and get 5 different answers. Which one of them is the best answer? Okay, is something that we have to ask. So, um, yes, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I think if get the obvious scam artist and teach them how to recognize that, and then slowly develop the critical thinking skills to see other things as scams. Um, probably. It's going to get weirder. I know that's hard to believe, but it's going to get weirder. So, it's squishy in a lot of ways, but once it comes to conclusions, it's still open. Okay, that's science answers questions in such a way that we can add to the answer and improve on the answer. I think that's what most people don't understand. It's not a we found the answer. It's we found a answer, and it could need modification and improvement, but it works for now. Okay, and it works better than, you know, yeah, yeah, it's value judgments and opportunity costs and stuff like that. There's other factors that come into the stuff. Yeah, we're just beginning to learn. I really do believe that, Ronald. I think we're just beginning to learn to come out of the dark. We've come a long way. Don't get me wrong, but holy cow, when you think that 100 years ago, people were still believing in a whole bunch of things that now nobody believes in. We've come a long way. So, hey, no problem, man. I'm just one voice among many, and I'm not an expert. I did do a lot of Christian indoctrination. I have been a school teacher in the public school system. So you have my opinion. Okay. But when I was a teacher, I was very much trying not to indoctrinate my kids into a certain viewpoint, but to get them to think. And critical thinking skills are hard to teach because you have to back off on saying that's a wrong answer. Okay. Because I'll tell you what, my kids came up with stuff that was completely not planned. Okay. Because they knew stuff from their experiences that I hadn't even experienced ever in my life. Um, so that'll be interesting. It was an interesting revelation to me. So, but no problem. Yeah, me too. I've heard of John. Um, yeah, yeah, I think that's probably a good way of looking at it. I'm always looking for. It's like, well, you guys were wrong about this back in the day. So it's not that they were wrong; it was incomplete. Okay, turns out that there's more to it, and I think that's what a lot of people don't understand about human inquiry is that the moment you quote unquote reach the truth, then does that stop inquiry? I mean, look at Isaac Newton, brilliant mathematician. If he hadn't had this notion of, well, that belongs beyond the realm of human understanding and belongs to God, if he hadn't had that idea, what else could he have discovered? He kept getting mired by that. And so, there's a lot of examples of that where you're still aiming for more truth or to define the truth a little bit better. So he's a former Scientologist. Oh, that would make him very interesting. Yeah, you got to know how to ask the question and what constitutes good evidence for the answer. We deal with that on a regular basis here, John. We absolutely do. All right, folks, I got to run. I do have to get ready for work, but this has been fun. I always expect theists to show up to Rapid Fire, but they never do. It's my open forum, and it's still all of you who love the channel, and I appreciate all that for all of you who gave super chats and donated memberships. Thank you very much. I think we're well on the way, to a hat reveal. I think I think we have 8 more super chats to go. We will be doing deconversion hangout on Thursday. Tomorrow I have therapy, so nothing. I've come to the conclusion that I'm going to hardwire that, and Wednesdays I'm going to just take off. So thanks, everybody. I appreciate all of you. Recognize hey, Native. I didn't know you were there. You were lurking in the corner, weren't you? But thanks for stopping by. I appreciate everybody. Stop everybody. As Earl reminds us, there's a cute little like button. Oh, wait a minute. I lost it. There's a cute little like button. Be gentle. Although whenever we've talked about the like button, it seems pretty consensual. It consents to anything. So just hit the like button. Share the video if you think it deserves sharing. I try to keep my streams down and linked where somebody might watch them later. So But thanks, everybody. Appreciate all of you. And as always, live your best life. You only get one to go around and then it's over. So you want to take all your time, money, and opportunities and spend them on yourself, the people you love and care for, and to make this a better world. Be happier if you do. And don't waste them on the trappings of religion and faith, because that's a dead end. I speak from experience. And as always, guys, thanks for stopping by. And I will catch you all next time.